The men's 4x400 meters relay at the Athletics World Cup was supposed to be the final statement of the competition, the race that would decide not only relay supremacy, but also national pride and overall momentum at the end of the meet. Instead, it became a demonstration of how elite relay racing is built on far more than pure speed. Positioning, exchange discipline, pacing strategy, and composure under pressure all shaped the outcome. And once again, the United States showed why they remain the benchmark in the 4x400 relay. Even before the gun fired, the atmosphere inside the stadium shifted dramatically. Great Britain and Northern Ireland, one of the nations expected to fight for major points, suddenly withdrew at the very last moment due to an injury to their anchor leg runner. The situation was chaotic because the athletes had already settled into their blocks, while officials attempted to confirm whether the British quartet could continue. In championship relay racing, late withdrawals almost never happen at this stage because teams usually prepare multiple backup options. The fact that Britain was forced out moments before the start highlighted just how serious the situation was. Their withdrawal changed the emotional and tactical shape of the race immediately. Britain had enough quarter-mile depth to challenge for the podium and potentially disrupt the rhythm of the United States during the early stages. Without them, the race suddenly opened up behind the Americans, leaving South Africa, Poland, France, and Germany as the main contenders for the remaining positions. It also affected the broader Athletics World Cup standings because every point mattered in the final event of the meet. Once the race finally started, the American strategy became visible almost immediately. Their opening runner attacked the stagger aggressively, but with remarkable control. In the 4x400 relay, the first leg is extremely important because athletes run in lanes for the opening lap before breaking to the inside. A poor opening leg can trap teams behind traffic and force extra energy expenditure later in the race. The United States avoided that completely. The American leadoff runner accelerated smoothly through the opening 200 meters and maintained excellent posture around the final bend. What stood out most was the efficiency of his mechanics. There was no panic, no unnecessary tightening in the shoulders, and no wasted movement. That level of relaxation at high speed is one of the defining characteristics of elite 400-meter runners. While many athletes begin to tense up during the final 100 meters of a relay leg, the American runner maintained rhythm and stride frequency, allowing him to hand over the baton in a near-perfect position. France showed strong intent during the opening leg as well. Running aggressively from the outside lanes, their athlete attempted to stay level with the Americans before the break. South Africa also executed a smart opening segment, avoiding early overexertion while staying close enough to remain a tactical factor once the field merged toward lane 1. Poland and Germany were slightly more conservative, clearly saving energy for the middle legs where relay races are often decided. The first exchange was a perfect example of why the United States dominates relay events so consistently. Unlike the 4x100 relay, where exchanges rely on blind handoffs and explosive acceleration zones, the 4x400 exchange requires awareness, timing, and calm decision-making under physical exhaustion. The incoming athlete must approach at full speed, while the outgoing runner judges spacing and momentum in real time. The Americans executed this transition flawlessly. Their outgoing runner began accelerating at exactly the right moment, received the baton cleanly, and entered the backstretch without losing rhythm. It looks simple, but at world-class level, these details separate winning teams from disqualified teams. A slow exchange can cost several tenths of a second, while poor spatial judgment can force athletes to decelerate sharply. South Africa emerged as the primary challenger during the second leg. Their runner displayed impressive composure and strength over the first 200 meters, refusing to allow the Americans to create immediate separation. This was important psychologically because once the United States gains a large lead in the 4x400 relay, they become extremely difficult to catch. Their confidence increases with every exchange, and their runners typically become even more efficient when operating from the front. The South African athlete ran a courageous leg, particularly through the third bend where he attempted to reduce the stagger deficit. His stride pattern remained aggressive despite the pace, and he kept the gap manageable entering the final straight. Behind them, Poland and Germany battled intensely for positioning. Both nations understood that relay medals are often determined by staying connected to the leaders before the final lap. Losing contact too early almost always ends podium hopes. As the second exchange approached, the United States remained in complete control. Their baton transfer once again looked effortless. The exchange zone discipline was exceptional, with both runners perfectly synchronized in speed and movement. This consistency is one of the biggest reasons American relay teams remain dominant across generations. Even when individual personnel change, the system and execution standards remain elite. Then came the decisive phase of the race, the third leg, often known among relay coaches as the killer leg or separation leg. This is where nations usually deploy either their strongest athlete or the runner most capable of handling pressure situations. The United States made a ruthless tactical decision by placing their individual 400-meter champion on this segment. The effect was immediate. As soon as the American runner received the baton, the tempo of the race changed completely. His acceleration into the backstretch was devastating. Within the first 100 meters, he began extending the lead visibly, forcing South Africa into survival mode. What made his performance so impressive was the combination of power and relaxation. His knee lift remained high, his cadence stayed controlled, and his upper body movement was incredibly stable despite the speed. By the 200-meter mark of the lap, the gap had become dramatic. South Africa was still running well, but the American athlete was simply operating on another level. Relay racing often magnifies momentum, and once the United States sensed vulnerability behind them, they accelerated the pressure even further. Technically, this leg was almost perfect. The American runner attacked the bend aggressively while maintaining lane efficiency and minimizing lateral movement. His transition into the home straight was especially strong because he did not tighten up under fatigue. Many 400-meter athletes lose mechanics in the final 80 meters, but he maintained stride length and rhythm all the way to the exchange. His split time, estimated in the mid-44-second range, effectively destroyed the race. By the final exchange, the United States held a lead of more than 20 meters. At that point, the relay transformed from a competitive battle into a controlled demonstration of dominance. What made the strategy so intelligent was the psychological impact. By giving the anchor a massive cushion, the Americans removed pressure from the final leg entirely. Instead of needing a desperate all-out sprint to defend the lead, the anchor runner could focus on maintaining rhythm, protecting baton security, and avoiding mistakes. The final leg therefore became less about aggression and more about composure. The American anchor ran with maturity and awareness, checking the stadium screen occasionally while staying mechanically efficient through the final 200 meters. He understood that the race was effectively won unless something catastrophic happened. Behind him, however, the battle for the remaining positions became intense. Germany, Poland, and South Africa were locked in a desperate fight for points and pride. Fatigue began destroying running form across the field. Athletes leaned heavily into the final bend, shoulders tightening while stride frequency dropped under lactic acid pressure. Poland's runner attempted a late surge entering the home straight, using superior endurance to challenge Germany for position. South Africa fought to hold contact despite the brutal pace established earlier in the race. These final meters showed the true brutality of the 4x400 relay. Unlike shorter sprints, where races are decided primarily by explosive acceleration, the one-lap relay punishes athletes physically in a completely different way. Every mistake in pacing becomes magnified during the closing straight. The United States crossed the finish line in 2:59.78, comfortably under the 3-minute barrier. In relay history, sub-3-minute performances remain one of the clearest indicators of world-class quality. What made this result especially impressive was the consistency of the splits. Every American athlete delivered a high-level performance, proving once again that their greatest strength is depth rather than dependence on a single superstar. Yet even after the finish, the drama was not over. Officials immediately began reviewing the baton exchanges of multiple teams. Relay rules are brutally strict because exchanges must occur entirely within designated zones. Even the smallest violation results in automatic disqualification regardless of finishing position. After review, both France and South Africa were disqualified for exchange infractions. The decisions completely reshaped the final standings and served as another reminder that relay racing is unforgiving. Teams can produce outstanding performances physically, but one technical mistake erases everything instantly. These disqualifications also reinforced how disciplined the American squad had been throughout the race. While other nations struggled under pressure during exchanges, the United States maintained complete control from start to finish. Every handoff was clean, efficient, and perfectly timed. In the end, the 2018 Athletics World Cup Men's 4x400 relay became a perfect example of modern relay dominance. The United States did not simply win through raw speed. They controlled positioning, mastered exchanges, deployed tactics intelligently, and executed every phase of the race with precision. From the opening lap to the final straight, they dictated the rhythm of the competition and reminded the world why the American relay tradition in the 4x400 meters remains one of the most powerful forces in athletics history.